And we are live with the Kansas City Chiefs instant reaction show from 580 Sports Talk. I am Brendan Dzwierzynski, and the Kansas City Chiefs lose their season opener in a surprise to, well, all of us on the 580 Sports Talk team, falling to the Los Angeles Chargers 27-21. A major disappointment for Kansas City, and in a game that, frankly, turns into a waste of an incredible effort by Patrick Mahomes. We're going to break it all down during the course of the show today. Might be joined by some friends a little bit later on. And look, if there's anyone that you can blame for this game, it's not the quarterback, because Patrick Mahomes was absolutely fantastic in this ball game today. I thought he had some really impressive throws. Everyone is going to remember, obviously, the touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. That was fantastic. The deep ball to Hollywood Brown at the end of the game after Kingsley Suamataia completely left Mahomes out to dry. I mean, gave him no help. The Chargers line, Khalil Mack, a future Hall of Famer, inside to work the young guard. He whoops him like a government mule, gets right in Mahomes' face, chases him out to the sideline, and somehow Pat is still able to find Hollywood Brown down the field for that huge gain. And then obviously the play where he's falling down, does the Superman pose, flips it up over the defense for the first down conversion. He was awesome. I mean, this was a great game for Mahomes. 258 yards, only the one touchdown, led the team in rushing with 57 yards in the game. He was fantastic in this game. This one is in no way on him. He wasn't perfect by any means. Very few players are in week one. And it was a great quarterback duel, all things considered. You, however, can blame gosh darn nearly anyone else you want for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know that it was necessarily a perfectly called game overall. I didn't have any major issues with anything that Andy Reid did in this game in terms of the play calling. I don't think it was an especially good game for Steve Spagnuolo. And more than anything, more even than game planning, it felt like this team wasn't ready. How many times in this era of Chiefs football have you been able to say, to start a game, whole first quarter, whole first half, whatever it might be, how many times have you been able to say that the Chiefs didn't look ready? Like, even if you go back to the Super Bowl, which was a complete blowout, and I mean, yeah, the Chiefs scored a bunch in the second half, but the game was over at halftime. I don't feel like the Chiefs were unprepared or not ready in that game. I think they just got their asses whooped. I mean, that's what that game felt like. And they could have been as ready as anybody's ever been ready. And the Eagles were just better than them. This felt like a game coming out of the gates right after the opening kickoff. It just didn't feel like the Chiefs had their A game, or frankly, even their B game. And that was something that persisted for the defense throughout most of the day. And granted, you also have to include the fact that the quarterback on the other side was absolutely fantastic. And I can understand why there are a lot of you guys and a lot of people in general who don't buy into Justin Herbert. I'm probably higher on him than a lot of people who live in our area. He was unbelievable in this game. And I've tried to watch a lot of Herbert over time because he's such an enigma. He gets people so worked up. Oh my God, he's incredible. Oh my God, he actually sucks because he never won anything. This is the best game I've ever seen from Justin Herbert. I thought he was fantastic. He was on target. He was throwing with confidence. And look, it sucks if you're the Chiefs, and it's going to sting. But from a completely neutral standpoint, trying to take all the other feelings and emotions out of it, that third down run and the long slide for an extra 10 yards or whatever it was to seal the game on 3rd and 14. One, Chiefs, have a little dignity. 3rd and 14, come on. I don't care who the other quarterback is. Figure out a way to make a stop on 3rd and 14. But that play by Herbert, that was a grown man sacking up, making the moment matter kind of play. I was extremely impressed by what Herbert did today. I thought it was a great quarterback matchup. What more could you want in week one on a Friday night? Everybody in the world, literally, with the game in Brazil, is watching this matchup, and 2-star quarterbacks looked absolutely fantastic. But the defense did not do the Chiefs any favors. And yes, if you want to point to the missed holding call on the last touchdown by the Chargers, yes, fine. It was a complete missed call. I agree with that. Should have been called back. At the same time, maybe if the Chiefs had, I don't know, been locked into even a B- degree in the first half, that wouldn't have even mattered because they probably would have been winning at that point. It's one of those things where, yeah, you can blame the referees for certain things in the moment, but think big picture here and think, okay, well, if the Chiefs had actually played like we expected the Chiefs to play, if they had been the aggressor, if they had been crisper, if they had been sharper, if someone other than Tyquan Thornton was a downhill threat in the first half, maybe things look a whole lot differently for this Kansas City team. The two things that stood out to me that are of the most concern, I think you have to point to the offensive line. It wasn't abysmal necessarily. I think I'm probably a little more tempered on my feelings about that group than some people I saw on social media today. But that being said, I don't think they played especially well. Josh Simmons was fine. He's a rookie left tackle making NFL debut. I thought he was fine. Humphrey was fine. Trey Smith was fine. The guys you expect to be great all the time. I have no complaints there. Suamataia was not. It was not a good game for him. And no one should be especially surprised by that either. And I'm not trying to just hand wave and say, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. He can suck and it's all right. It's no big deal. No, it's an extremely big deal. But again, this is a young guy, a project guy who is being moved from one project position where he was terrible to another position now. And that's not as easy as, oh, yeah, tackles can move to guards. It's fine. No, it's a different skill set, even if you're on the same side, left or right of the center. So he's still got some things to figure out. And again, I mentioned that rep, the deep ball to Hollywood Brown, where Mahomes made that incredible throw on the run with Khalil Mack bearing down on him. That, again, was all because Mack just destroyed Kingsley Suamataia, and Kingsley never even gave him an effort, frankly, to slow him down. Defensively, though, just big picture, I don't know if it was the fact that it took them 2+ hours on a bus to get to the stadium today because the traffic in Sao Paulo was so bad. I don't know if it's a matter of the team just wasn't prepared for one reason or another, which would shock me for a team that's head coached by Andy Reid and has Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. That would really surprise me if that's what ended up being the case. I haven't seen any quotes yet from postgame from Reid or Spags or whoever else as to why things started out so sluggishly, but it just looked like an unprepared, not locked in team, which I am just so unfamiliar with when it comes to this era of Kansas City Chiefs football. And look, we talked about this on 580 Sports Talk on Friday, myself and Spencer, that this game does not indicate that the Chiefs aren't still a Super Bowl contender or they're not going to be good this year or any number of other things, expectations, goals, whatever. This does not mean anything regarding that. In fact, we have plenty of examples in recent seasons of week one really not meaning anything because you see that team over there beat this really good team. It's happened to the Bills. It happened to a decent Steelers team a few years ago when they were still like actually competitive with the top of the AFC. It just happens sometimes. So I'm not going to throw out all my expectations for this Chiefs team. If you think they're going to go 13-4 this year, okay, well, you have to find 4 losses somewhere and at effectively a neutral site in a different country against a team that wants you to get their lick back badly. Okay, you can understand why that would happen against this Chargers team. Plus, the Chargers always play the Chiefs tough, whether it's Harbaugh and Herbert out there or some past folks, etc., whatever. This does not mean anything about the Chiefs' long-term outlook. But that being said, you would like to start the year off on the right foot. It was one of the comments in a overall not especially good play-by-play broadcast from YouTube. I love me some Rich Eisen, but think he's more made for daily radio and studio shows, not necessarily play-by-play, but that's neither here nor there. There was a point that, hey, look, it doesn't change anything about your season overall, but you do want to get off on the right foot. And I think the Chiefs, for me, this game was going to be so important when it came to kind of sending a message to the league, hey, we made it to the Super Bowl, but we see what all you guys are saying. Because no matter what Chiefs fans and players and coaches want to tell you, yeah, they read the press clippings. They're watching TV. They're hearing stuff on the radio. They see it online, social media, whatever. They know what everybody is saying about this team, that they're boring, that they're carried by the defense now, that Mahomes has been passed by any number of other quarterbacks, mostly in the AFC with Burrow and Jackson and Allen. They wanted to make a statement. At least that's what I believed. And Mahomes did. Mahomes was great in this game. That's one of the best games we've seen from him in quite some time. But I thought the rest of the team would meet the moment too. And frankly, they just didn't. Kelsey had the big touchdown. Other than that, he was kind of a no-show in this game, guys. Not a lot from him. Hollywood Brown was fine, but he also had a bad drop on a third down that would have been a first down conversion in the first half, right after Mahomes had missed Tyquan Thornton. And Thornton did eventually get one of those deep balls on a sensational grab, but Mahomes missed him at one point on a ball that theoretically could have been a touchdown. There were drops. Juju had 5 catches for 55 yards, but I don't really feel like he did a whole lot to impact winning in this game. And I want to make one thing clear before we finish things up here. I know the Chiefs lost Xavier Worthy in this game, and that sucks. And you're already down Rashee Rice for the first 6 games of the season. That is going to make things much more difficult for this offense. You know how I know? Because we saw things take a severe downturn when Rashee Rice got hurt last season after he had that severe knee injury. So you lose Xavier Worthy to friendly fire again 2 years in a row. You're your de facto number one receiver ends up suffering a friendly fire injury and gets knocked out of a game. Hopefully it's nothing too serious long-term for Xavier Worthy, but good Lord, Travis Kelce just trucked him going over the middle on that mesh concept, those crossers. So that obviously stunts things from the very beginning. And I understand that, and you can make as many excuses as you want because at this time of year, it's okay. Like, again, I don't think this changes anything about how good the Chiefs can be or whether or not they're Super Bowl contenders this year. I do think it is indicative, though, of a few things that we probably just kind of hand waved as a general public, like, oh yeah, Kingsley Suamataia, left guard, sure, that's going to work out. Well, there's going to be growing pains there, no doubt about that. There's concerns about the defense that, look, I don't know that I thought they were going to get back to their elite of the elite 2023 level, but I sure thought that was going to be a little bit better than last. I thought they'd probably be about as good as last year, and this looked like as bad as they've been since the first, 10 weeks of 2019, which obviously was a Super Bowl season. But you guys remember the introduction of the Spags defense. How many segments did we do on 580 Sports Talk talking all about the fact that, yeah, it takes time for this defense to set in and for guys to get it? That's what this looked like. It was listless. It was confusing more than anything. Vance in the YouTube comments here says, I'm not sure how to process this. It was an incredible run-of-the-mill performance that came up short. And that's kind of what it felt like. And I think the biggest negative of that is you needed a performance that met the moment because the quarterback on the other side was great. And I thought Jim Harbaugh, clock management, not especially good, but I thought he and his staff, Greg Roman, Jesse Minter on the defensive side, I thought they called a pretty good game overall. So yeah, it was a run-of-the-mill game, and sometimes that's been good enough for the Chiefs. But one, we are hoping that this year they get past that. We are hoping that this team is going to advance beyond, run-of-the-mill game, but hey, they won. They made enough plays. Mahomes did one thing in the fourth quarter, and we're moving on to next week. We're hoping to be above that this year, and maybe they still will be. I don't want to put my cart before the horse at this point. I was just hoping we'd see that in week one. But again, the other part of this too is the quarterback on the other side met the moment. He was phenomenal, and not enough guys on this Chiefs team were able to match that, and certainly not able to surpass that. And that's the big reason why the Chiefs are starting 0-1 while the Chargers are starting 1-0. I don't think this shifts the balance of power in the AFC West. You give the Chargers all the credit in the world because, again, they had to win the game. They dealt with the same things, the long traffic and all the different sleeping arrangements and the long travel and all of that. They had to deal with the same things. They got the win. Their quarterback was incredible. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But from the Chiefs' perspective, you get back to the U.S., you got to turn things around quickly because the schedule does not get any easier. I believe, at least according to some metrics, it is the hardest schedule in the NFL through the first 8 weeks of the season. And again, you still don't have Rashee Rice. You may not have Xavier Worthy for some period of time. We don't know at this point how long he's going to be out. At least, again, haven't seen an update at this point. Figure it out. Go get a win next week. Turn things around. And that's not going to be easy either. Again, look at the schedule. But you've got time to figure things out. You just have to actually make sure you figure things out. Last year, never really did. You had those run-of-the-mill performances, and you just kind of rode that wave as long as you could until the wheels fell off against a juggernaut in the Super Bowl. You've got to find a way to get a little more explosion in the passing game, have somebody other than Tyquan Thornton be a downhill option. Defense, I don't know what the heck you've got to do to get better, but you've got to do something to get better because, again, it's not going to get any easier the rest of this first half of the schedule. The Chiefs lose. They fall to the Los Angeles Chargers 27-21 in the second annual Brazil game for the NFL. Cool experience. I love the crowds in Brazil. There's a huge NFL fan base down in that country, so I'm happy that they got to see this again. Awesome crowd. Fun halftime show with Karol G as well. We will, of course, be breaking this game down in full coming up Monday on 580 Sports Talk. We'll recap this one in full. Plenty of other action from around the NFL this weekend. Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated is going to join us to break down all of the games. Plus, we've got a ton of college football from the weekend to get to. Border War coming up on Saturday, the renewal of the rivalry for the first time in over a decade between Mizzou and KU. K-State playing Army this weekend. Oh, and let's not forget as well, The Royals, they're still alive. They played another game tonight, and they won again. Good for the Kansas City Royals. So we'll get to some boys in blue baseball coming up on Monday as well. Don't forget to check us out at 580 Sports Talk on Twitter/X, at 580 Sports Talk on Blue Sky as well. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'll talk to you again on Monday for 580 Sports Talk. Until then, this is Brendan Dzwierzynski following a Chiefs 27-21 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers here on the Kansas City Chiefs Instant Reaction Show. We'll see you guys coming